You're watching ABC 7 News at 7.
It's a very scary time for young men in America when you can be guilty of something that you may not be guilty of. You could be somebody that was perfect your entire life, and somebody could accuse you of something.
President Trump says too often men are assumed to be guilty. Do young men really have something to be worried about? Good evening, everyone. I'm Alan Cohen, and welcome to ABC 7 at 7. We'll have more on President Trump's comments on endangered men in a moment, but first, our top stories at 7. Earlier this week, Amazon announced it would be raising its minimum wage to $15 an hour for all its employees. Now the company is urging competitors and businesses nationwide to do the same. The corporation also vowed to work on getting Congress to increase the nationwide minimum wage to $15 an hour for cities like Sarasota, home to many successful businesses. This news puts pressure on companies to follow in Amazon's footsteps. The catch, Amazon had to make up for the significant wage hike somehow.
Their main goal is going to be profit. To protect profit, well, then maybe any bonuses that you were earning, we'll take those away, but we'll give you a $15 an hour bump. So it's kind of a bit of a give and take, at least in that respect.
And although some states like Florida have increased the minimum wage by $1 or $2 or $3, the federal minimum wage of $7.25 an hour has not changed since 2009. Manatee County deputies and emergency and management service teams are on the scene of a plane crash in Mayaca City. It happened near the Rocky Creek Ranch around 2 this afternoon. No fire was reported. Deputies say one person believed to have been the pilot of the single-engine plane has non-life-threatening injuries. The man arrested a couple of weeks ago for a cold case murder in Sarasota is pleading not guilty. Luke Fleming, the man arrested for the murder of Deborah Dalzell, has entered the plea and demanded a jury trial. Sarasota County Sheriff's detectives believe Fleming is responsible for murdering Dalzell back in 1999. New DNA technology used to identify Fleming. He was arrested in Ellington on September 19th. Florida is cracking down on crooks who trick people into answering their cell phones. The Florida Department of Financial Services is working on getting harsher penalties for scammers. People use fake cell phone numbers to make it look like you're answering a call from a number that looks local, but it's really just a ploy that could end up costing you.
These calls are more than just a nuisance. This is a way for scam artists to, steal your hard-earned money. It's a new innovative way that they're using, it's definitely a problem that we see nationwide and, of course, here in Florida.
A new law that took effect in July authorizes phone companies to block robocalls, but it has not helped so far. Experts say roughly half of all cell phone calls made next year will be scams. Now let's head over to our man we call our chief meteorologist, Bob Harrigan, with the First Alert forecast. Bob.
You can see again that we have had some calm conditions out there on the waters. My mic not working right now, but I'm going to go ahead and see if I can change my mic, or at least look at it here. It's on. It's the Lav 5. So if you want to turn Lav 5 on, you should be able to work there. But we are looking at Holmes Beach webcam showing pretty calm conditions out there. We'll have Alan come back here in just a little bit once we get the microphone situation correct.
I just need a second.
Is your weight holding you back and affecting your health?
Did you see this? Your cousin had a heart attack.
Really?
Excess weight or obesity can be serious, but you can do something about it. Visit yourweightmatters.org. Download the free toolkit to prepare you to speak with a healthcare provider. Your weight does matter. Accept the challenge and take charge today. Visit yourweightmatters.org.
Hi, I'm Chef Bob. Watch Aprons in the Kitchen every Wednesday morning on ABC 7, where we'll be serving up the most awesome dishes. Then stop by your neighborhood Publix, pick up the recipe card and all the ingredients.
Blue 32, Blue 32, hot, hot. It's the Gettle Gridiron Challenge. The game's on to sell 2,000 vehicles. 12 teams compete for the #1 spot. Score a great deal at every Gettle dealership. Buy with 0 down. Make no payments for 90 days. Choose from 14 of your favorite brands, all on sale. Who will make it to the end zone? You decide. Rush to a Gettle location near you or visit Gettle.com.
Gettle's got it.
This is an important message for anyone with Medicare. You may be eligible for an all-in-one Medicare plan that combines hospital, medical, and prescription drug coverage together with extra benefits that may include dental, vision, hearing aids, and much more. Some of these plans have a $0 monthly premium regardless of your income. That's right. For one low plan premium, or in some cases a $0 premium, you may be able to get coverage for your hospital visits, doctor appointments, prescription drugs, routine dental care, eyeglasses and contact lenses, hearing aids, and possibly more. Today may be the first time you've heard about this type of Medicare plan. The advisors at the Medicare.com helpline are licensed insurance agents who will explain more when you call. Call now to see if you qualify. Call the number on your screen now. Call now to see if you qualify for these benefits. You worked hard for your Medicare. Now is the time for your Medicare to work hard for you. Not affiliated with or acting on behalf of any government agency or program.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes? B, console her?
Don't worry, sweetie. This is gonna happen a lot.
Or C, find her a new boyfriend?
Nice, single boys. That was weird.
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
Check out My Suncoast Dining on mysuncoast.com for Chef Judy's favorite recipes, restaurant guide, and more. Go to mysuncoast.com/dining.
Well, I think you can hear me now. Everything's back to basics here. As far as the sunset goes, everything's getting back to basics too. Out on the beaches, we're looking at a much better weather out there and less red tide problems. And the sunset, just a gorgeous one, as you see right there. A few showers have been moving across the Sun Coast now and again. We still have a few out there left over, so we'll keep a slight chance for a few passing showers in the forecast for the next couple of hours or so. You can still see some activity there. One or two lone showers, not out of the question. Most areas staying dry through the rest of the evening and into the overnight hours. We had a little brief shower near Nokomis and Venice just a couple of hours ago. That has since moved on, and also near Laurel. One now just south of Arcadia, and another one just south of Wauchula. Currently it's 84 degrees. We have the heat index still at 90. That east to northeast wind has been beneficial for the red tide as it has been blowing all the harmful impacts, at least offshore, into the Gulf of Mexico. The dew point temperature at 72. Well, in the tropics, we continue to watch Leslie kind of spinning out there in the Atlantic. We also have a little disturbed area of weather that we'll be watching very closely, especially over the weekend when conditions will start to become a little bit more favorable for development. And storms that pop up in October typically develop in this region and move into the Gulf of Mexico. So that will be interesting to watch throughout the week next week. That wind flow forecast is going to stay out of the east, so beachgoers, enjoy it. It's going to last a while, too, into the weekend. Temperatures will stay hot as well. You can also check out and the latest on the tropics with our new ABC7 First Alert weather app. If you haven't downloaded it already, do so. It's free. Just go to your app store, do a search for WWSB First Alert Weather, and you can follow along with the storms. Alan?
Thanks, Bob. The FBI's investigation of Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh is done. President Trump continuing to express confidence in Judge Kavanaugh. And now, amid all the finger-pointing and accusations, what the president says about the message it sends to men and women. Here's ABC's senior White House correspondent Cecilia Vega.
President Trump today sounding optimistic about the fate of his Supreme Court pick.
Judge Kavanaugh is doing pretty well, it seems to me, over the last 24 hours. A lot is going to depend on what comes back from the FBI in terms of their additional number 7 investigation. But I think that Judge Kavanaugh is doing very well right now.
Friday's deadline to complete the FBI probe quickly approaching, and tonight attorneys for a second accuser, Deborah Ramirez, Brett Kavanaugh's Yale classmate who told The New Yorker he exposed himself near her face, revealing that she was interviewed by investigators for more than 2 hours on Sunday. Her attorneys say she provided the names and contact information of more than 20 additional witnesses, and that it was a detailed and productive interview, and the agents were clearly motivated to investigate the matter in any way they were permitted. The FBI also interviewing key witnesses, including Mark Judge, Kavanaugh's high school friend, seen here in their yearbook. The man Christine Blasey Ford says was in the room during the alleged attack at that high school party 36 years ago.
What is the strongest memory you have? The strongest memory of the incident, something that you cannot forget?
The laughter, the uproarious laughter between the two, and they're having fun at my expense.
So far, the only public details about that interview come from Judge's attorney, who confirmed yesterday Mr. Judge has been interviewed by the FBI, but his interview has not been completed. We request your patience as the FBI completes its investigation. Today, Mr. Judge completed his FBI interview. We are not commenting on the questions the FBI asked Mr. Judge. With Kavanaugh's nomination hanging in the balance, President Trump was asked what message he's sending to young men.
Well, I say that it's a very scary time for young men in America when you can be guilty of something that you may not be guilty of. This is a very difficult time. Somebody could accuse you of something and you're automatically guilty. But in this realm, you are truly guilty until proven innocent. That's one of the very bad things that's taking place right now.
And before he walked away, he offered his message to women, too.
What message for young women, Mr. President? Women are doing great. You believe?
And now a new letter from Christine Blasey Ford's legal team to the FBI. They say they've sent letters and emails laying out witnesses and evidence to the FBI investigators. They say they have received no response. They call this inconceivable. We have asked the FBI for a comment. So far, we don't have one. They're not commenting. But President Trump himself has said he has no problem with the FBI interviewing Christine Blasey Ford or Brett Kavanaugh. Cecilia Vega, ABC News at the White House.
So President Trump says when it comes to allegations of sexual assault, it's a scary time for men. Okay, let's take the politics out of it and your feelings, good or bad, for President Trump. Let's separate fact from fiction. Are men being falsely accused of sexual assault at alarming rates? Is this a new phenomenon? Has it always been the case? Should we be sitting our sons and our daughters down for a serious talk about the dangers and the ramifications of making false allegations? And joining us for more, Jessica Hayes of Sarasota's Safe Place and Rape Crisis Center, defense attorney Verinia Van Ness, and Rod Thompson of the RevolutionaryAct.com, who happens to be the father of 6 boys. Do I have it right?
You do.
Okay. So here's the question, and Jessica, let me start with you. Taking the president at his word, is it a scarier time for men now, or there, in terms of what you see, what you hear, are there more accusations, false allegations than there were before?
Well, what first comes to mind when I hear that is it's always been scary for women. So that's the first thing that came to my mind when I heard that. But also, in my opinion, it's only scary if you've done something inappropriate. If you've sexually assaulted someone, then yes, it's a scary time, because I think that there is a shift towards accountability and these conversations are coming forward. So the fact that we're talking about this more, but the rate of false allegations, I don't believe is increasing. This particular situation that we've been talking about over the last week has been highly politicized, which is a shame, because I think it detracts from the real issue of sexual assault and how underreported it is, and how victims don't generally have anything to gain by coming forward.
Right. So there are two issues there. There is the politicization of this issue, but there's also the numbers there and the estimates that are out there, Verinia, and you're a defense attorney in Sarasota, is that anywhere from 2 to 10% of accusations are false. Is that what you see in your practice?
Well, it's hard to say when you mention false accusations. How do we really know whether?
Because there are different definitions between jurisdictions in terms of what is a sexual assault, correct?
I'm talking about whether it's a false accusation or not, and I think that's where due process plays a big deal and a big role, and that's the way our system works. And it just seems it's more, you're not presumed innocent anymore. If somebody says something, you're automatically guilty, and we need to let due process work, because that's how our system of justice works, and it doesn't seem like that's allowing to be happening. If this was a criminal case, it would be very difficult to bring charges forth, because the information's stale, the witnesses don't recall. So I think this conversation needs to empower women in A, don't put yourself in situations where that could happen, and B, if it does happen, speak out immediately so that the information is not stale and due process can take place. As far as how many are false, I've had situations and cases where, you know, young girls are Snapchatting the boys to come over and climb through the window, and
we're going to get into that for a moment. There's a lot there, but Rod, talk for just a moment. We have only a few seconds left here about how the issue itself has become so politicized because of the Kavanaugh case.
Well, it really is unfortunate, like Jessica was saying, that this is a serious issue. Obviously, I think it does cut both ways to a degree. But because of the way this has been deeply politicized, and I'm going to be partisan and say this started with Dianne Feinstein deeply politicizing it, okay. Because she did. It's undeniable she did. You know the news, and she did. And because she did, and because it became this way, and because it became hashtag I believe her, even though there's no corroboration whatsoever, that then makes it become, well, can we believe women or not, which is a shame.
We have to pay the bills. We're just getting warmed up. Our conversation on President Trump's comments on endangered men will continue after a quick break. When we come back, ABC 7's chief meteorologist Bob Harrigan will be back with another look at our forecast. Stay with us.
I feel happiest when I'm out enjoying my favorite things, like spending time in my garden. That's why I need a Humana Medicare Advantage plan.
Many Humana Medicare Advantage plans cover everything from emergency care and hospital stays to doctor office visits and prescription drug coverage. In fact, last year, Humana Medicare Advantage prescription drug plan members saved an estimated $6,900 on average on their prescription costs. Humana has a large network of doctors and hospitals, plans that include vision and dental coverage, and most plans include Silver Sneakers Fitness and a rewards program, all for a $0 monthly plan premium in most areas.
Now I can be happy and healthy and keep enjoying all of my favorite things.
Your health and happiness is important to us. Call or go online now to get your free decision guide and see how a Humana Medicare Advantage plan can help keep you enjoying your favorite things.
Helping families with mesothelioma is all we do. My firm has been offering a free book on mesothelioma for over 10 years. Since that time, hundreds of people with mesothelioma have trusted us to represent them. We have local offices throughout the U.S. and there is no risk to you. Mesothelioma really is all we do. Call us at 1-800-485-6000. That's 1-800-485-6000. Or go to mesoonlylaw.com.
Here's something we bet you didn't know. Nearly half of all cancers can be prevented. That's right, half. Nearly 50%, mostly by making small everyday changes in your diet and controlling your weight, walking more, eating less, and eating foods that help you and your family to seriously reduce the risk of cancer. And of course, by not smoking. Visit the Cancer Prevention Together We Can website and get a free 30-day planner filled with tips, recipes, stats, and more about protecting your family. Go to prevent50.org.
Don't allow your weight to threaten your health or control your future. Excess weight or obesity can cause emotional and physical health risks. But you can take control. The Your Weight Matters campaign offers free resources and tips to help you measure and understand your weight. Take the Your Weight Matters Challenge. The free toolkit prepares you to speak with a healthcare provider about your weight. Your weight does matter. Take the challenge and take control today.
Watch Saturdays at midnight on ABC 7. Premieres September 8th.
Our conversation on President Trump's comments on endangered men continues right after we get a check on the first word forecast with Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan. Bob.
Well, some better news, Alan. Get a look at these photos that were sent in from today. Siesta Key, that water looks quite nice compared to what it's looked like over the past month and a half now. And some good color as a result mainly of the east winds we've seen over the last 5 days. And another one from Cindy Desmond getting in the water there. And you can see the clear conditions right there on Siesta Key. The nice flags blowing in a westerly westerly direction with that east wind, and a beautiful day out on the area beaches. Getting a lot of people on social media saying how it's much better, much improved. That maybe is temporary, but it's not going to be temporary with that east wind. We're going to see east to southeast wind for the next 5-6 days now, it looks like. Into the weekend and beyond. Well, this was the red tide report yesterday, and you can see some reds showing up, but also lower concentrations as well. And in fact, the midweek report is suggesting that the red tide is lessening in Manatee and Sarasota counties. It's still there, however, in low concentrations on the north end of Anna Maria Island right now. And there are some high concentrations in New Pass, but not nearly as many as there have been. Now, there's a new map that has come out from the FWC. This is an interactive map. I was waiting for this, but you can go there daily. It's updated daily on the reports. This doesn't look as clear, but you can go to it on your website. I have actual information on this on mysuncoast.com. So go there and click on the story, and then you'll find the actual web address that you can do some point and clicks for the area beaches that you may be interested in going to. Van Way's a webcam showing pretty calm conditions out there on the waters today, and a few brief showers have been dancing across the skies, but not a lot of rainfall for the most part. We'll see a slight chance for showers tomorrow to start the high school football action, maybe 1 or 2 lone showers around, but I don't think we're going to see a washout by any stretch as high pressure continues to remain in control over the southeast. This high pressure is the reason why we're not experiencing fall either, and we won't for some time. Now, it is going to get bumped off a little bit to the south and east as a low pressure center enters into the Gulf of Mexico, but it's still going to be around that will provide us with the east to southeasterly wind flow, and that'll be happening throughout. Looks like on Friday we'll get a little bit of moisture moving on in. No sea breeze expected, and that's what you need, that sea breeze and that east wind to kind of collide and create the big massive thunderstorms that we normally see in the summer. So we're getting these brief showers. Still a chance of 1 or 2 lone showers pushing off to the west, I think, through this evening, but all in all, not much expected in terms of any kind of accumulation. Those winds right now out of the northeast, still a nice evening. 12 miles an hour at Old Myakka, and in Northport it's 8 miles an hour out of the east-northeast at this point. Placida also right around there. Well, that dry air that was here yesterday has moved into the Gulf of Mexico. There's still some more out here east of the state. We're going to tap into that on Saturday. So Saturday our rain chances drop below 20% really for those afternoon showers. Well, this is interesting. You see these clouds ripping off to the northeast here? Those are strong upper level winds, so that's inhibiting this from developing anything too fast. But there is definitely a low level circulation right here off the coast of Honduras that's expected to move off to the north and then get into the Gulf of Mexico early next week. And there's a 40% chance of it developing into the next tropical cyclone. So we'll watch that closely. East winds at 10 knots. Seas will be 1 to 2 feet out there for boaters. A light chop in the bays and inland waters. A 7-day forecast then. Slight chance for a few showers late in the afternoon and evening. Less on Saturday. Bounces to 30 on Sunday. Pretty good weekend, really. And then we'll be watching the tropics closely next week. Even so, if it doesn't move toward us, we're going to have a good chance for showers and storms come Wednesday and Thursday. Alan?
Thanks, Bob. Welcome back. We are talking about President Trump's comments about it being a scary time for men. And joining us for more are Jessica Hayes of Sarasota Safe Place and Rape Crisis Center, defense attorney Verinia Van Ness, and Rod Thompson of the RevolutionaryAct.com. And let's show again exactly what the president said the other day, and we'll take it from there.
It's a very scary time for young men in America when you can be guilty of something that you may not be guilty of. You could be somebody that was perfect your entire life, and somebody could accuse you of something.
Now, Jessica, let me ask you this from this perspective. I mean, we've been living through the Me Too movement for a year plus now. Could the president be referring to the fact that since we are all now so aware of the problem, that when we talk about it and deal with it, it will include increased cases not only of women reporting rape, but also, because with everything there's a reaction, also false cases of sexual assault?
It's really hard for me to say what his intent was in that comment, but I think that the conversation that we should be having with young men and young women in our society and our communities is that we need to build a culture of respect and accountability and shared respect in relationships, and talk to them about consent, and talk to them about these issues in a way that relates to them. I think the conversation should be less about the fear and more about what can we do to create positive change.
Rod, is this something that was not done before? I mean, you know, when Dr. Ford came across with these allegations, you had so many women saying that this happened, something similar happened to them 20, 30 years or more, that this has been a fact of life?
You talk about in a general sense?
Yes.
Yeah, right. No, I think it is a fact of life. So I think we're just listening to the panel here discuss off air too. I think there's some general agreement that obviously, since the dawn of time, men have been driven by certain things more than women have. Men are bigger and stronger. Men do bad things to women. This has, always been the case. Unfortunately, it'll probably always be the case. What I wish is that we could have a culture in which, as Jessica was saying, my wife and I have brought up our boys to honor women, to respect women, to protect women. Their strength is to protect women, not to take advantage of women ever. That's what bad men do. And so we've encouraged them to, in their relationships, that you enter into relationships, and this is where I get called a prude, but this is where the Mike Pence sort of thing works, and that is, don't put yourself in compromising positions that can come back to bite you later. That goes for boys and girls.
We also have a lot of young people in this community, young men and women who, in their teenage years in high school, they experiment with alcohol and drugs, and that's where the problems come from in some cases.
And I agree with Ron in that case. We need to be respectful, like Jessica said, both sides. One of the interesting things that I have noticed from when I was growing up in my teen years and how my boys, I have 3 boys, relate to women, it's different. I think we've gotten to the place where we've more reached equality, where we can talk to each other like not as a woman or a man, but more as equals, and I think that changes the culture.
We have to take a quick break. We are just getting warmed up. Our conversation on President Trump's comments on endangered men continues after a quick break. Stay with us.
Rugs as Art. You know the name, you know the building, but do you know what's inside? Yes, Rugs as Art is Florida's #1 area rug superstore, but there is so much more. Amazing furniture, accessories, and art. All this and more. Come see for yourself. You'll love our personal touch and be pleasantly surprised by our affordable prices. Rugs as Art and more. There is so much more to explore.
Strong storm, the trees are down and the lights are out.
No air conditioning, no refrigerator.
I get how strong the storm was, but I need my power back.
We get it. We don't just work for FPL, we're customers too.
After a storm hits, restoring power safely and as quickly as possible is our #1 priority. That's why we never stop preparing. We have the best resources in place so we can be ready to respond in good weather and bad.
Storm season is here. We're ready. Are you?
Are you a soccer mom or dad? Regardless of their age or experience level, when your kids play soccer or any other sport, there's one person on the sideline who is key to help recognize and seek medical care for sports-related concussion. It's you. You need to know the signs and symptoms of concussion, and you need to act if you think your child has been injured. Remember, when in doubt, sit them out. To learn more, go to cdc.gov/concussion. 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004.
Teachers inspire our children and promote a lifetime of learning. So ABC7 and Gettle Automotive wants to honor these chalkboard champions by giving them the chance to win $500. But we need your help. Go to mysuncoast.com/chalkboardchampions to nominate an outstanding teacher who's really making a difference. And each month, we'll deliver $500 to one teacher in Sarasota County and one in Manatee County. Go to mysuncoast.com and nominate your chalkboard champion today.
America was built on a love for the outdoors. We are a nation of sportsmen, blessed with magnificent natural resources. With broad interests across water and field, we are united in our devotion to nature and conservation. Join us every week for the best shows celebrating the outdoor lifestyle. Outdoor America. Live free.
This weekend on the ABC7 live stream.
Mascara adds depth to the eyes. Lipstick gives the mouth color and definition. And ALS paralyzes the body.
You look great, Mom.
Thank you. Slowly taking away the ability to move and eventually breathe.
We believe in patriotism. We believe in our nation's youth. We believe veterans earn their benefits through their service to our nation. We believe in a strong national security. We believe in our country. For 100 years, veterans have been impacting our nation through the American Legion, and we believe it makes a difference. If you believe, learn more at legion.org/webelieve.
Find out first at 4 with ABC 7 News at 4, weekdays on ABC 7. You're watching ABC 7 News at 7:30.
Welcome back, everyone. We are talking about President Trump's comments about it being a scary time for men. Joining us for more are Jessica Hayes of Sarasota Safe Place and Rape Crisis Center, defense attorney Verinia Van Ness, and Rod Thompson of the RevolutionaryAct.com. And Jessica, let me start with you again, because there's been so much discussion over the last couple of weeks about we need to believe women when they come forward who would put themselves through this kind of ordeal if they were lying. But there are people who not only look at the Kavanaugh case, but look at other cases that make the news and say, you know, there are times that people do make this up. Should we always believe, you know, somebody who comes forward, especially in high-profile cases, or do we need to do some kind of investigation? And aren't these investigations problematic because if they happened a long time ago, there probably is not going to be a lot of evidence of it?
Well, at Spark, we start by believing. And there is a nationwide movement to start by believing, not just in victim service centers, but with law enforcement and other partners. You know, start by believing and then investigate the case from there, if it's law enforcement or if it's a criminal investigation. But when you start from a place of believing the person and then proceeding with the investigation, instead of, okay, I'm only going to believe you if you meet these criteria in my investigation, and if you were wearing the right thing and you were making good decisions and you were doing all of these things, that sends a message to survivors that they're somehow to blame or they had some role to play in being a part of that. And I would hope that my children are going to grow up in a society where they should expect to not be assaulted, period.
And Verinia, you are in an interesting position because you defend, in many cases, men who are accused.
Yes.
Some of whom are, or many of whom are, I would imagine, are guilty. Some of whom are not.
Correct. And I've had circumstances where a college student was accused of a rape, and we start with believing, and our Constitution and our presumption of innocence. Why don't we start, if he says he didn't do it, should we start believing there? Where do we start? I think in an investigation, law enforcement should just start at nowhere and start with the presumption of innocence and see if they can build the case to the guilt phase. In my client's situation back then, he adamantly denied it. It was consensual. We had to get a polygraph, and my client passed the polygraph, and when we had that polygraph, we were able to establish and charges were not filed. So we can start believing on both sides, but I think in the system of justice that we have, if we're going to have the due process work, we need to start with believing the innocence and then prove the guilt, because that's the way our system works.
Here's one of the problems, one of the many problems here. You know, Rod, the Harvey Weinstein case. If you remember, you know, NBC News had this story, and they would not allow it to be reported because they didn't feel that, was it Dylan? Not Dylan Farrow. Farrow, the reporter who was on NBC.
Ronan Farrow.
I'm sorry, thank you. Ronan Farrow did not have it nailed down, and he took the story elsewhere to Vanity Fair, and it became a Pulitzer Prize-winning investigation, and Harvey Weinstein is now being charged with crimes.
Hallelujah.
Right, but if you were going to look at that story from what he brought NBC, NBC said, you know, you just did not have enough evidence there.
Right, and that's always been interesting to me, that little element of it, because of the ownership connections there. But I think that it's not unusual, because when you have the difficult dynamic of the moment is, and probably has been for a long time, is men in power. So the Harvey Weinstein is the same thing that with Bill Clinton and Monica Lewinsky in the dress. The Philadelphia Inquirer and the Boston Globe both had that story, and neither of them would run with it because they didn't feel like there was enough there. It wasn't until Matt Drudge did it that we came to understand it, and then we had that whole conversation then, which, by the way, was a totally different conversation than we're having today. But the powerful men thing is the case that powerful men really take advantage of women when there's an opportunity, and a lot of them do. Bad men that are powerful do that. The other side is that now, with a presumption of belief that powerful men can also become a target. Powerful and wealthy men can become a target of women who are going after them, and we've seen that happen too. I personally think that's probably what happened in the Kavanaugh case.
So Jessica, how do we deal with situations like this?
Oh, that's a big question.
Because we want to, I think we know enough now that when a woman comes forward with an allegation that we should believe them, but we have situations, especially when the TV lights are on and these are rich, powerful men, they're claiming, and the president is included in this because he's been accused by, 16 women, and these are not criminal cases that are that are going to make them to the criminal court. Bill Cosby is an exception of that. We circle back to what the president said, that if you're rich and powerful, beware, you could be accused.
Well, I hope that this whole conversation brings people to realize that at whatever spectrum that they are and wherever in their life they may have experienced an assault, that there are resources available for them. I think it's important for us to not think that we have to try these cases in the media. I'm not on a jury for this case or any of these other cases. We need to let the process take place and offer support to people that have experience.
Let me ask you this question, because when it comes to the Kavanaugh case, we've also heard over the last few days, should he be confirmed, it will be sending a message to a woman to just keep your mouth shut. Are you concerned about that?
I'm not really sure where I stand on that.
I'll ask you the same question.
Well, my position is, this is just, if I'm going to stand by, this is the way our due process work. If there's not enough evidence to convict somebody for a crime, if there's not enough evidence, is it fair to not appoint him? And, I'm sorry for my ignorance, but I didn't have the time to sit there all day and watch all of his testimony and all of her testimony. I've heard snippets of it, but being a defense lawyer, I'm not going to make a decision on that. So I can't say one way or another whom I believe, but I believe that if it was anybody else that didn't do it, would it be fair to not get that position because of an accusation from 36 years ago? That's difficult.
All right, so but hold on a second. Let me put the question to you in a specific way, and let's leave Dianne Feinstein and that issue out of it, and just look at Dr. Ford, who is an accomplished woman, an incredibly accomplished woman, and if you believe her, she has been really suffered throughout her life because of what she says happened. Why would anybody put themselves through that? And is it not possible in a general way that she saw this person possibly being elevated to the Supreme Court and felt that it had to come out some way?
I thought that was possible early on. I mean, a slim possibility because of the timing, but I thought it was possible. But afterwards, I don't really think so, and here's why. I did watch her, because I'm in this business, so I did watch her testimony. I thought it was very compelling. I didn't call it credible, but I did call it compelling. It was very compelling.
So she's just making this up?
I don't know that, and neither do you, and that's the problem. The 2 doors on her house, apparently that had to do with a rental property. She won't fly, she flies all the time. So there's a lot of stuff swirling around it that undermines her. But the key here is when Verenia said there's not enough evidence, I would only offer a minor correction. There is no evidence other than her testimony. She names 4 other people there. 3 of them said it didn't happen. 1 said, I never met Mark Kavanaugh. That's the only evidence we have, and it's all exonerative.
Why would a person put themselves through this?
It's a great question. I don't know why. My gut tells me is that she really thought she could do it anonymously. I don't know what her motives are. Let's not pretend we know what her motives are. I don't know what her motives are. But I think she really thought she could be anonymous with it, and Dianne Feinstein outed her. Sorry, I brought it back to Feinstein.
Well, Jessica, and let's wrap up this conversation, because you deal with women on a daily basis who go through these traumas. And central to it is whether they feel like they're going to believe if they come forward.
Yeah, and we're seeing a spike in our helpline calls this week. We are, just today, 2 women this morning that called that had never talked about sexual assault, that have been triggered by all that's happening in the media. And, they're not coming forward in a public way. They're coming forward to say, hey, I've never talked to someone, and I'd like to deal with this now because it's affected my entire life.
And I'd like to say, I'm not saying that she's lying. I'm not saying that he's lying. What I'm saying is we don't know. Either somebody's lying. So I think our position can be she's lying or he's lying. How do we know who's lying? That's my point.
All right, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you all. Before we go, we want to share with you what some of you had to say about last night's show on the race for governor. We are just over a month away from one of the most anticipated races for governor in years. Andrew Gillum is looking to be the first Democrat elected governor in 20 years, but he will have to get through the Trump-endorsed Ron DeSantis first. We went to Facebook to hear what some of you like about the race. And Candy says DeSantis, the other one, wants to raise Florida taxes to the level of taxes in California. But Lisa says Gillum, he is serious about our water problem and has a plan. He wants to improve our infrastructure and raise corporate taxes to pay for it. Well, if you'd like to join the conversation on tonight's topic, just visit our Facebook page at facebook.com/mysuncoast. We want to thank our guests for being here tonight. Jessica Hayes of Sarasota's Safe Place and Rape Crisis Center, defense attorney Verinia Van Ness, and Rod Thompson of the RevolutionaryAct.com. When we return, USF Sarasota Manatee economics instructor Michael Snipes will be here for another memorable segment. Tonight he'll be talking about how computers sort and find data. I'm sure you can't wait for that either, so stick around.
Blue 32, Blue 32, hot, hot. It's the Gatto Gridiron Challenge. The game's on to sell 2,000 vehicles. 12 teams compete for the #1 spot. Score a great deal at every Gatto dealership. Buy with 0 down. Make no payments for 90 days. Choose from 14 of your favorite brands, all on sale. Who will make it to the end zone? You decide. Rush to a Gatto location near you or visit Gatto.com. Gatto's got it.
This is an important message for anyone with Medicare. You may be eligible for an all-in-one Medicare plan that combines hospital, medical, and prescription drug coverage together with extra benefits that may include dental, vision, hearing aids, and much more. Some of these plans have a $0 monthly premium regardless of your income. That's right. For one low plan premium, or in some cases a $0 premium, you may be able to get coverage for your hospital visits, doctor appointments, prescription drugs, routine dental care, eyeglasses and contact lenses, hearing aids, and possibly more. Today may be the first time you've heard about this type of Medicare plan. The advisors at the Medicare.com helpline are licensed insurance agents who will explain more when you call. Call now to see if you qualify. Call the number on your screen now. Call now to see if you qualify for these benefits. You worked hard for your Medicare. Now is the time for your Medicare to work hard for you. Not affiliated with or acting on behalf of any government agency or program.
The Players Center presents the wild Broadway season opener, Annie, Get Your Gun. There's no business like show business. This slice of magical American musical theater will thrill you with the classic tunes of Irving Berlin. Call the Players Center at 365-2494 or visit us at theplayers.org. Annie, Get Your Gun, September 18th through October 7th. Let's go on with the show.
At Humana, we believe great things are ahead of you when you start with healthy. And part of staying healthy means choosing the right Medicare plan. Humana can help. With Original Medicare, you're covered for hospital stays and doctor office visits when you're sick, but keep in mind you'll have to pay a deductible for each. A Medicare supplement plan can cover your deductibles and coinsurance, but you may pay higher premiums than you do with other plans, and prescription drug coverage isn't included. But with an all-in-one Humana Medicare Advantage plan, you could get all that coverage plus Part D prescription drug benefits. You get all this coverage for a $0 monthly plan premium in most areas, and Humana has a large network of doctors and hospitals. So call or go online today. Find out if your doctor is part of the Humana network and get your free decision guide. Discover how an all-in-one Medicare Advantage plan from Humana could save you money. There is no obligation and the book is free.
Welcome back. The first computer ever invented was way back in 1936. It is safe to say we have gone a long way since then, and now computers are sorting all kinds of data and finding new data. How does it all work? Lucky for us, we have Michael Snipes here, an economics instructor at USF Sarasota Manatee. Michael.
Right, so we, as humans, we generate just tons and tons of data every single day, terabytes worth of data. And I don't necessarily have terabytes worth of data here. I have just 14 cards. Otherwise, we'd be filling the entire room with cards. So I want to show you a little bit about kind of how computers work, right, and how they actually pick data, how they sort data. So I've got some cards here. And these are cards that I'll just go through fairly quick. You have to take my word on it, that they're numbered 1 to 14. Right? And what I would like you to do is pick a number between 1 and 14, and I'll try and find it.
Tell you the number.
Yes.
9.
9, okay. So what we'll do is we'll go through and we'll pick the number 9, right? And then what we're going to do is we're going to just kind of shuffle the cards, right? So shuffle, 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 right? So we're going to go through and we're going to find the number 9. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through this first hole, right, and get rid of those cards. Then what I'm going to do is go through this hole and get rid of those cards. Then I'm going to go through this hole. Oh, and I blew that, right? But see, this is kind of the point, right? It's one of those things where for a human to think in a binary language, it's a very difficult thing to do. But it's something that, from a computer's perspective, it's easy to do, right? So what we can do is we can have all of the numbers, and we can represent them as a series of ones and zeros, right? So because it was hard for me to do that as a human being, to process that 1 and 0 data, let's instead see if I can maybe sort this data the way a computer would sort it. So I'll go through here, and take these cards here, and I'll put them in front. Then I'll go through this hole here and take these cards. Then I'll go through this hole here, line them up, sort those out. Then go through this hole here, sort this, get these cards out. And what we've got is, when we look at this, the way I've sorted it, I've just gone through the 4 holes sequentially, and what we've got here was a stack that was just kind of randomly sorted that now has really been sorted in an ascending order. And the way this works is that if you look at each one of these cards has a unique set of notches on it. And each one of these notches corresponds to a specific number, right? So the leftmost number is an 8, 4, 2, 1. If you want an 8, you pick that card. If you want a 4, you pick that card. And we can sort our data like that.
Next time we're going to have to talk about computer chips and how they work. Michael, thank you very much. Michael Snipes joins us every Thursday to help us understand economics in a fun way. When we return, we are getting close to the Senate voting whether or not to confirm Brett Kavanaugh as the next Supreme Court Justice. What can we expect? But right now, let's get a final check on our first alert forecast from Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan. Bob.
Well, nice sunset sent in to pics at mysuncoast.com. Art Conforti getting that a beautiful shot right there. And earlier today, Cindy Desmond also showing some clarity in the water right there in Siesta Key, so good sign. East winds, high pressure continues to dominate, and we're getting that east to southeasterly winds tomorrow. What we have is this cold front to the north. Now, we look usually for these to move through mid-October, but with high pressure sitting right there, it's blocking this cold front from coming down. This will pull up stationary if it hasn't already. The cool air behind it, so it's kind of a chilly day in Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Michigan. Warm out ahead of it in the southeast, Georgia, all the way through the Carolinas. And for us, just a few showers around, again, pushing to the west. Arcadia getting a little bit of a rain shower right now. 1 or 2 of those may hold on through the next hour or so, but I think most of the rain is over for this evening. Dry air to the east of the Bahamas will eventually slip back in on Saturday, lessening our rain chances. We'll keep an eye on this system right here, but for the time being, with all these clouds moving to the east right here in the upper levels of the atmosphere, doesn't have any chance to develop. It appears to be a broad area of low pressure spinning just off the coast of Nicaragua and Honduras, and this is going to be pushing off to the north. Conditions are expected to ease a little bit once the system gets close to the northwestern portion of the Caribbean on Saturday and Sunday, and then it pushes into the Gulf of Mexico, where it does have a chance of developing. The Hurricane Center has bumped that up to 40%. Now, out there in the Atlantic, this one continues to spin for 12 days now. It's been out there. This is Leslie. It's heading northward over some cooler water. Eventually, it will head back to the east in time. As I said, it's kind kind of going all over the place out there in the Atlantic, and will continue to move off to the east-southeast in about 4 or 5 days from now. Temperature 84 degrees in Sarasota, and in Northport, same, 83 in Mayaca City. The water temperature at 85, and Avon Park at 81 degrees into Highlands County. Currently it's 84, east and northeast winds at 11, and the dew point temperature at 72. As far as the high goes today, it warmed up to 91 degrees, above average as it has been all week long, and that's not going to stop. We're going to see temperatures remaining into the upper 80s to low 90s. Our normal high for this time of year, 87 degrees. Tomorrow's forecast, we'll start off with sunshine and then a few clouds by midday. Notice the heat index already up to near 100 by noon and staying pretty close to that all the way through the 4 or 5 o'clock hour. Now, there will be a few spotty showers around tomorrow afternoon. The rain chances aren't all that high at 30%, but the heat index will be high. Again, snow falling in parts of North Dakota tonight. That snow is a result of a low pressure area emerging out of the central and northern Rockies. This will eventually swing another front down south, but it's not going to get down here as that high pressure will get bumped a little bit off to the east. And we'll look at temperatures right now. You can see cooler in Minneapolis, 53. That's for a high tomorrow. 40 in Minot. 63 only in Chicago. Detroit will be 61. Toronto getting up to 52 degrees. Boston will see a high of 59. For boaters, a light chop out there in the bays and inland waters. East winds at 10 knots. The 7-day forecast then. A slight chance for showers tomorrow afternoon and evening, and then drier on Saturday. Sunday, still a nice day. Sunshine. East wind will stay with us. That means temperatures will remain above average in the upper 80s to low 90s. A better chance for rain comes as some tropical moisture starts to move in Tuesday of next week. Alan will be right back after this.
Your last chance for 2018 Honda Accords on sale is now during our model year-end sale. Drive new Accords for just $249 a month. Get an Accord, the North American car of the year, for less than the competition. With more standard features than Camry, Honda Sensing, multi-angle camera, turbocharged engine, and more. New Accords, just $249 a month. Your last chance for Accords, all on sale this week at your local Honda dealer.
I heard about the Datole Cancer Center through friends of mine who had been treated here and were very pleased with the treatment.
If there is prostate cancer, we at the Datole Cancer Center will find it using 3D color flow Doppler ultrasound.
And that helped precisely identify where my cancer was and some additional cancers that were not found during the biopsy. I would recommend the Datole Cancer Center. As a group of human beings, they are unbelievably great.
The following message is brought to you by Mesobook.com.
People who have been diagnosed with mesothelioma have many questions. How did I get this disease? What are my treatment options? How will this affect my loved ones? You need answers, which is why we offer a free book written by medical professionals who have treated mesothelioma.
Call toll-free at 1-800-777-1366 or go to Mesobook.com.
Me. Oh, come on, man. Oh, man, I love technology. Hey, check out my new phone. Look at this right here. For years, the DeSoto Club has needed improvements. Join me and Boys and Girls Club of Manatee County as we raise money to build a brand new facility. It will be bigger and better, just like it was 40 years ago when I attended. Invest in kids, build great futures.
Saturdays at midnight on ABC 7.
Dot Pharmacy is a website verification program that helps you identify safe and trustworthy online pharmacies. Purchasing medicine online can be safe and easy. Just look for pharmacy to the right of the dot in website addresses.
Get local news and information from the team you trust. Like ABC 7 WWSB on Facebook to stay connected to the Suncoast.
Checking primetime headlines, the Senate is inching closer to a crucial vote on Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh. Senators are reacting to the new FBI report looking into sexual misconduct allegations against him from more than 30 years ago. The potential confirmation vote could happen this weekend. ABC's Kenneth Moten has the latest from Washington.
Large protests against Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh and demonstrations supporting him broke out in Washington as senators spent the day reviewing the FBI report looking into allegations of sexual misconduct.
The FBI report did not corroborate any of the allegations against Judge Kavanaugh.
It looks to be a product of an incomplete investigation.
With strong partisan lines drawn on Kavanaugh.
Enough already. Let's vote.
Do you believe the whole thing is a sham? 5 days to do the investigation.
Potential swing votes, Republicans Jeff Flake and Susan Collins appear to be satisfied with the report.
Pretty thorough, and that no new cooperative information came out.
The report contains summaries from interviews and witnesses regarding Kavanaugh's alleged sexual misconduct more than 30 years ago. Democrats blasted the fact that Judge Kavanaugh, who has denied the allegations against him, and his first accuser, Dr. Christine Blasey Ford, were not interviewed.
Why not tell the White House to greenlight the FBI to interview these additional witnesses?
The FBI has gotten all the permission they need in order to interview whoever they think is necessary.
The White House confident the president's nominee will be confirmed.
So we've talked to a number of senators and will continue to do so until the vote takes place.
A vote could happen this weekend. Attorneys for Blasey Ford sent a letter to the FBI expressing disappointment, saying she was prepared to turn over medical records and other corroborating evidence. Kenneth Moten, ABC News, Washington.
And that's all the time we have for this evening. I'm Alan Cohn. Thanks for joining us. Have a good night.